Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it. You already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye, bye, bye. Let's get straight to the intro. You guys already know what it is, man. I appreciate everyone that's come in here. Thank you guys, man. If you haven't already hit your like and subscribe button, make sure that you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And once again, man, thank you. I'm very humbled, right? So the information just keeps on rolling in concerning the Stockton mass shooting, right? And I really hate to use that word mass shooting because that is utilized in a different, it's basically utilized when you have, someone who goes crazy and just starts shooting everybody for no apparent reason. Now, it is a mass shooting if it's more than 2 or 3 people. That's a fact, right? But in this case, I think the newspapers, the fear mongers are utilizing mass shooting to encompass views and to bring people in, man. It's all about fear mongering, man. And I just don't like to use the word mass shooting, but it was definitely a shooting of massive proportions where people got injured and children were killed. So it's just ugly, right? But here's some new news. So the birthday party was for a rapper named NB Nano, his daughter, right? It was his daughter's birthday party. Now, whoever knows the Stockton scene, the rap scene in that area, NB Nano did several collaborations with MB Nell and all these guys. I mean, they got MBs, GBs, DBs, ABCBs. EFGs, right? But anyways, without being too disrespectful, because I already know that they're going to take it like that, MB Nell was pulling up, right, to this birthday party to bring a birthday present to his partner, right? MB Non or NanoMB. And at the same time, NanoMB kind of spoke the shooting to existence. Now, I say that to say this. He had several rap lyrics where he talked about he'll kill people, hit them right in front of their kids can get it too, all this. And what happened? When you ask the devil a question, he's going to answer. That energy, speaking things into existence, it's real, right? You can make shit happen. I remember a long time ago, man, I went to a county jail. There was some dude I was having issues with, right? And I said, man, here I am in the county jail. Me and he was a hitter too. And so we were going back tit for tat, back and forth. And I remember thinking to myself, damn, man, I kept saying it over and over again. I hope I don't run into this dude in jail because I'm going to fuck my program off and fuck my date off, right? I just hope I don't. I just hope I don't. First of all, I don't want to be involved in nothing. Second of all, damn, who's the first person I seen when I walked in? Yup, you guys guessed it. I spoke it into existence. And of course, we did what we did. And we went to the hole and I fucked a few days off, right? That's neither here nor there. This is more serious because this involves children. That's just 2 grown men fighting over fucking foolishness. But in this case, a foolish father spoken into existence. When you talk about hurting children, God don't like that. I'm a very religious person. God doesn't like ugly. That's an ugly thing to say. When you talk about upping the pole on someone and you'll hit them in front of their kids and their kids can get it too, and this and that. When you're playing gangster to that point and to that degree, well, gangster things happen. Hey, listen here, pretty Tony. You know what I'm saying? Your bitch chose me. You know the rules of the game. So we could either figure it out like men or we can get into some gangster shit. And gangster shit is what happened. But the people are tired of gangster shit. Okay? Especially when children are involved. Or anyone. When innocent civilians are struck by stray bullets. People are tired and they've been tired since my days, since the 90s. I know videos have been made lately where people are like, it didn't happen back then. It happened. It's always happened. It just has happened more frequently now. That's kind of like deportations. Oh, everyone's focused on it, but that's been happening, right? We're just more focused on here and now and what's happening today, and I don't rock with that. But I'll say this. This dude, NanoMB, man, had a lot of different things to say in his music. And it seems like him and his homies were being targeted for that specific reason, if not even more so than that, probably something they did. Now, there's a lot of questions going around and a lot of he said, she said, that he said, a lot of theories that a certain group was involved. I'm not going to say what group was involved or that people are even saying, because that's not my thing to speak on, right? Because I'm not going to point fingers at people and have the feds and the cops headed in a direction based off of something I say online. That will never happen, right? But what I will say is this. If the certain group that I'm hearing was involved, man, that takes Stockton to a whole nother level. Okay, that means there definitely is going to be, if not retaliation, there's definitely going to be a continual of shootings, man, which is unfortunate for the community of Stockton. Which, all in all, man, is, even though there are some grimy individuals in grimy areas, there are still civilians and people trying to live and work and survive. You know, I was talking to a homeboy yesterday, man. They were asking me about Stockton, and I told them this: you've never in your life ever heard someone say, man, guess what? My dream is I'm going to go buy a dream house in Stockton, California. You've never heard that, right? Most people that are in Stockton is generational. That's why you have these gangs that are old school from the 50s and 60s that are generational. And now you got this new era and these new hyphy gangs that are going on, right? And I'm explaining that right now too. But what you have is people that have lived there and their homes have been passed down from their grandparents, great-grandparents, to their parents, to them. And those are the people that are living in Stockton. You do have people in the outlying communities in the surrounding areas that have moved to Stockton, but I've never heard at least one person in my life say, hey, guess what? When I grow up, I'm going to get all kinds of money and move to Stockton, right? Because they got good taco trucks. They do, but that's not a good enough reason. I'd rather go to Modesto on 9th Street where you can get a hooker and a taco for less than $9.99. Yes. And you're winning, right? So, not me, you. I will say this. When you talk shit about people's children, when you mention people's kids, that's crossing a line to no man's land. You should never do that. When you act out on doing something to someone's children or pulling up to that spot, that's the ultimate disrespect. You know, there was plenty of opportunity for whoever committed this crime to turn away, to say at the last minute, you know what, it's not that serious, man. We can catch these guys on another day, or what they said are just words. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Shout out to my boy Sticks and Stones. He knows who he is. These things right here, for reals, are things you have to think about when you're in the game. You have to think about tomorrow, not just today. What's going to happen later on? What are the repercussions going to be for me and mine? See, now what's going to happen and what could happen, right, is the fact that these guys took it upon themselves to disregard the fact that there was children there, to disregard the fact that there was civilians, there was women, there was elderly people there, grandparents and things of that nature, and took it upon themselves to act out on some childish antics and some cowardice act and do a shooting where kids were involved and strike kids and kill them. And now in doing so, that means their kids are not off limits, because these guys might be thinking the same exact way they're thinking. They might be thinking eye for an eye, tit for tat. That's how it is in the gang lifestyle. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. I lived it for a long time. You get one of ours, we're trying to take 10 of yours. That was the mentality on every side. And that's why it kept escalating and escalating until there was no more to take anymore. Right? Until someone finally broke it down. And that's what it's going to have to be. Someone's going to have to break it down. Now, we already know, according to my video I did earlier, if you haven't tapped in, tap in, that MB Nell bounced and went to the Sacramento area several years ago. So he's not even in his community. He's dipping in and dipping out. And the reason he left was because of a shooting that happened to his parents' house. See, they already got at him. They already reached out to him. So I can understand his disrespectful lyrics and the way he feels. But when you're speaking this stuff into the rap, into the microphone, right? When you're saying these things and you're putting it out there publicly, people are going to hear that and they're going to feel you're talking about them. They're going to feel some type of way. If you're threatening their children, then they seem that like they want to threaten yours. I know what you're thinking. It's all bullshit, gang banging. This back and forth is nonsense and it makes no sense. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of sense laying around on the ground, a lot of people leaking, right? Now, this dude, MB Nano, having a birthday party for his child, knowing the lyrics he's put out there, knowing that he's a gang member, allegedly, right? Knowing that he's part of that street life, why would you ever have a party, a setting for your child, right, in a public place when you know people are on your head, when you know people, your homeboy done moved out of town, he can't even be around, right? When you know these types of things are happening, a good parent prepares for these situations. If you're in the game, if you're gangbanging right now, I'm speaking to the active members that are still out there doing it, or not even active, dudes that are in good standings. You know enough right? If you're laced up enough and educated to know that if you're going to have something like this for your child, why not take it to a backyard? Why not fucking make some carnitas in the backyard, have your closest loved ones there, your immediate circle, and do it like that? Your child's going to understand when they're older, when they realize the type of life that you're living. Maybe they won't, because you'll probably be in prison or dead before they get old enough to understand when you're living that life, especially nowadays, because everything is on fast forward. If you notice nowadays, when we used to be slow and low, everyone's trying to move swift and fast. Nobody wants to wait to earn their tattoos. They just want to throw them all on their face. Nobody wants to take the time to crease their jeans. They just want to put those fuckers on wrinkled. Nobody wants the time to starch their white shirt. They just want to get a pro club and say, fuck it, and then buy a new one the next day. I do that shit too. I can't lie. But that's what I'm saying, right? We're on fast forward mode. Everything's coming faster and bullets are spitting faster, it seems. And in this situation, it could have been totally unavoidable. It could have been avoidable by both sides. If the shooters were going to do this, they could have bid their time and waited and caught the guys that they wanted to catch, the guys that really deserved. And no one deserves violence, but I'm saying, you understand what I'm saying. They were living that life, and with that life comes truth and a whole bunch of consequences. Now, on the other side, right, the guys that were throwing this party should have realized, you know what I'm saying, NanoMB, that this is your daughter's birthday party, and the last thing you would ever want to do is put your family in a conflicted situation. You don't want to bring none of that negative energy, especially when you're making rap songs talking about killing children and doing this and doing that. You are not Brother Lynch Hung. Okay, baby guts is not what you rich though. Creeping up in your 6'4" Impala. Dude didn't even have an Impala. He had a Cutlass on McLean's. Look, the truth of the matter is, when you're saying things like this, people are taking that as a threat, and you didn't even realize the situation that he was putting his family in, or he didn't realize it, right? Or maybe he did, but just didn't care. See, there's a lot of bravado. With gangbanging comes pride and bravado, and I'm the hardest one. And that's the mentality that's instilled. That's what you're supposed to think. That's what makes a hard soldado. Someone who really doesn't give a shit, right? They don't care about doing time. They don't care about taking a life. They don't care about death. But you have to care about something in life. And most of us that went through that, first and foremost, we care about our children. That's our second opportunity and our second chance to advance in life. We always want our children to have what we were not provided or what we didn't have growing up, or even if we had it, we want to give them more. I know I do every day, right? All I care about is how my children are progressing and that they have all the necessary needs to do that. I don't want my kid to go to school and a kid have a certain brand of clothing that my kid don't got, because we're poor, because we're not that, because dad's going to go out there and hustle and make sure my kid has that. But at the same time, I'm going to make sure that my kid is protected as much as I can. I'm never going to put him in a tricky situation out there in public when I know dudes are actively seeking me right then and there, and they're in the same town. So this dude, MB Nano, is not innocent of this. No one in this situation is innocent. And if what I'm hearing is true, and like I said, I could only put too much out there because I'm not a snitch channel, right? There are dudes out there that will go in and say everything. Not me. I'll say this. If this is true, the group that I'm hearing that is involved, right? That the streets are speaking. Like I said, the streets tell, right? The streets are telling. Then it's about to get real tricky. Tricky dance moves like Briss, rest in peace, another one who died too soon, right? It's going to get real tricky in the streets of Stockton, because the group that I'm hearing that could have perhaps been involved are not the ones to play with whatsoever, okay? Now, I wanted to talk about these hybrid Tesla gangs. I call them the Tesla gangs nowadays. See, back in our days, we could easily identify who was who. When you went to school or you're out in the calles, okay, them's the Southsiders right there. There's about 5 of them. That right there is the Northerners. Being from Northern California, that was the majority. There's about 20 or 30 of them cats right there, right? There's some Woods right there. They're over there playing hacky sack and drinking coffee. There's the Asians. Don't mess with them. They usually have guns. Right. And there's the brothers, the Crips, the Bloods, and there's a couple North Day thugs over there kicking it with them. And that's how that went. You could identify. But now you got hybrid gangs in Stockton, in Sacramento, all throughout the Central Valley, in the Bay, right? And these gangs are no longer identified by North, South, Crip, or Blood. They're all mixed. You got blacks and Asians and Mexicans and whites all in one gang, and they all got the same Edgar and the tight pants and the machine guns, right? So you can't really, you don't know. And they're not no more. Are they Norte or Sur or Crip or Blood? They're not identifying by that now. Now they're money gang, money over bitches gang. You know what I'm saying? Trifling thugs. You know what I'm saying? Black-hearted bangers. You know, actives, right? They got all these weird names and all these different things labels that they're putting on themselves, and they're actually going at it with the other side of town or other gangs. So you got the money over bitches going at the money, getting it by bitches, right? And this is what's going on. So it's like a hybrid gang. It's actually elevated and escalated into where these kids are not playing no more. They really will go in and wreck some shit because they think that gives them street cred. That's what they're searching for, that clout, right? And see, back in our days, and I always refer to back in our days, it was all about slow and low. It was all about gradually earning your stripes, doing what you had to do. For the people that are saying, running around, because you got a lot of youngsters, they're upset. They're upset, like, oh, you old heads, man. You always talk about, well, we're watered down. No, I don't say they're watered down. I say they're on some fast forward shit. They're back to the future, right? They're doing their own thing. Great Scots, Marty. What I can say is this. In our days, we thunk out or thought out a lot of the fucking things we we're going to do because we knew the retaliation was swift and vicious if you made the wrong move. There was no room for error, okay? I'm not going to say dudes back in the 90s didn't target children or didn't get caught up in situations. Yeah, but that wasn't consistent. That wasn't the normality of things. That wasn't normal. Okay. Nowadays, it seems like they're trying to make it normal. Anybody can get it. EBK, you got EBK Young Jock, and EBK, he's dead. And then you got EBK J-Bo, and he's locked up for shooting. You know what I mean? You got all these youngsters, Sacramento, Stockton, and it's that Valley area right there, man. I ain't gonna lie. It's always been off the hook, but now it's even more so off the hook, right? And if I'm hearing what I'm hearing right, man, this is not the end of the road. This is just the beginning. When you go and kill innocent children, you're going to have a lot of people mad at you. A lot of people that have family members. That leads me to this. You never, and I mean, you never know who someone is related to, who someone has interactions with. And let me tell you a little story, man. Trip out. I'm at a party one time, one of my homegirls' pads, right? We're kicking it. And we used to have homeboys. They were all the pretty boy homeboys, right? We'd send them to the club. I wasn't one of them. I was just as ugly as I am right now, right? But we had homeboys that used to be able to pull all the bad chicks from the club. We used to pull all these chicks. They were from different cities, different towns. They come to the club, pull all of them, bring them to the homegirl's house. We're going to run all of them, right? That's just how it was. Sure enough, the homeboy brought this one chick. She was immaculate. 10-5 a key. Pura. You know what I mean? And fuck me, Tony. She looked like Gina. She was bad, right? So he brings her. Everyone's on her. The homeboy, he's like, no, hell no, right? So he's on her. But I could tell she's real, being real. I can't even say it. She's being real perverted, right? She was being real, whatever she was with everyone. She was alluring, and she knew that, and she was letting everyone know. She was real flirtatious, right? So a couple of the younger homies, she pulled up in a Lexus, right? A couple of the homies, they see her. She left her purse in the car, right? Little young homies, they're thugs. They're on it, right? They're trying to get some money. Boom. They break her window, go in, take the purse. She had a brand new pack of cigarettes in there. They snatched her wallet, whatever, right? About 20, 30 minutes later, and I knew it went down. The homies told me, hey, we got her. Whatever. That was a normal. Bring the chicks, run them, get what you can get. It was the street mentality, unfortunately, right? Just a bunch of bad people with bad thoughts. And so she comes out. I remember she was like, hey, you got a cigarette? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, wait up. I don't smoke. I smoke menthols. I got a pack in my car. And then she sees her window broken. And I see her look down at her purse and smile. And she turns around and she's like, who got my cigarettes? She was trying to get her cigarettes, right? And my wallet. I don't say no. I just, right? And she was like, look, I'm going to let you guys know right now. You don't know who I am, right? I'm going to let you guys know right now that I'm going to make a phone call. If I don't get my cigarettes and my wallet, you can have the money. I don't even care. There's only like $60 in there. But I just need my ID, my shit, my license and shit. And I need my cigarettes. If I don't get them back, I'm going to make a phone call. And I was like, man, I don't give a shit. Who you call? We some gangsters and stuff. Whatever. She made that phone call. She got her shit back immediately. The voice on the other end was some high-ranking somebody from Salinas, right? That I happened to know of. I'd never met him, but knew who he was. And I made sure she got all her shit back and her window repaired and says, get a kiss on the cheek. Everything, right? And he asked me some pretty dangerous questions. What is she doing there? I don't know, bro. I did not bring her. I didn't tell her who brought her because I ain't telling, but it was just that serious. The moral of that story is I say that to say this. You don't know who's who. Right? So there was children that were killed at that birthday party. You don't know how their dads are feeling right now, how their mothers are feeling, how their mother's brothers are feeling, how their mother's uncles are feeling, the dad's uncles, the family. They could be some dangerous individuals that want to set it off. So when suspects are apprehended, and they will be, it could be all bad. But I think the two people that should be feeling the shittiest right now and their conscience should be eating at them is that dude MB Nell and that dude NanoMB, because that dude, them two individuals spoke this into existence. Talking about hurting people's children and doing all this. Well, that's what happened, bro. You're lucky it wasn't your kid. You're very lucky, but it was your friends or family's children that are deceased because of shit you said. Wild. Anyways, with that being said, let me know what you guys think. As more information comes, I'll bring it to a certain point. It's an active, ongoing investigation, so I can't tell you who's being suspected or things like that. But when it is put out on big time media, I will definitely reach out and put it out there. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. See, I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. These gangs are just too much now, for reals.